Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new series. This one, I hope, over time will be co-op, just like my counterpart series is to it. This is my review vlogs for Fear the Walking Dead, which is the prequel show to The Walking Dead, similar to how Better Call Saul is a prequel to Breaking Bad. AMC seems to like their prequel shows, so Fear the Walking Dead is the prequel to The Walking Dead, and the basic premise is that it takes place in Los Angeles during the period of time that Rick Grimes, the main character of the main show, The Walking Dead, is in a coma, and it deals with the initial outbreak of the Walker/zombie virus. And so I watched the first episode last night. I would have liked to have done this vlog last night, but I was trying to figure out if there was a possibility of co-op. Unfortunately, there was not. My usual co-op partner, Jack, that I've done the reaction videos with, and all of the reviews for Season 5 and part of Season 4. He was unfortunately busy. Hopefully, in the future, when we're together, we might have time to review the Fear the Walking Dead. Reviewing Walking Dead Season 6, I will let you guys, if anyone is a fan of my Walking Dead content on my channel, we will be doing Season 6 vlogs for The Walking Dead. They might not be exactly on time like they were for Season 5. I might explain that dynamic a little bit in this video. But I wanted to just give some of my brief thoughts on Fear the Walking Dead from the first episode, the pilot that I saw last night. I definitely think the show from the first episode succeeds at the fear aspect. And what I mean by that is that they definitely do a good job at making you afraid of the walkers, or at least making the main characters afraid of the walkers, and thus making you afraid for the main characters, because I'm going to assume that a majority of the people who are watching this kind of show have watched The Walking Dead before, so you're mostly familiar with a lot of the elements that are in the show. People who have never watched The Walking Dead, this is a treat, because you'll probably experience many of the things that the main characters have. Having seen these monstrous kind of beasts for the first time and not really knowing how to conduct yourself, or what to think in a situation like that. So basically, for the Walking Dead fans, this is kind of a treat, because there's a couple of rules, and obviously there's some of these are spoilers, but the main rule is that if you die, regardless of how you die, you come back as a walker. This was the biggest indicator that this is occurring in the Fear the Walking Dead was the very end of the episode. Was at the very end of the episode when what was the guy's name? Calvin. It was the drug dealer, the African American drug dealer who Nick ends up killing because he thinks that he's going to kill him. Well, it was pretty certain that he was going to kill him for talking about the drugs that he gave him. So when Nick kills him by accident, he is reanimated, and you see him not as a gnarly zombie that we're familiar with in The Walking Dead. These zombies haven't had time to kind of rot and decay like the ones in the original series. So this is kind of like a unique situation for the show. So that's one example. That's at the very end of the episode. The episode starts with this fear aspect where Nick is kind of like in this drug, like this kind of drug crib. It's like an abandoned church or something, and he sees one of his friends eating another friend, and he freaks out, runs into traffic, and gets hit. Everyone kind of thinks he's nuts when he's in the hospital. They restrain him with straps. And so he basically tries to convince his father and mother, one of which he's not, biologically related to. The mom and dad are, they married into a family. Everyone's kind of together just because they came from different families and such. So I believe it's the dad who first tries to investigate this. He goes back to this church and sees that there's a huge pool of blood. Later, the mom goes back and they investigate it. So there's definitely some sort of intrigue. Also, it's interesting how the zombie threat grows and grows. very rapidly. I have to give this episode credit because I thought that this series was going to drag out the Walker threat. I thought that episode 1 everything would be fine, then episode 2 everything would still be fine, but there's like one little plot detail that gets updated about the Walkers, and episode 3 things start to intensify. Like, I thought this was going to be a very slow build to what we know with the Walkers and The Walking Dead. However, that does not seem to be the case at all. Episode 1 solidified that this threat is increasing. Like, the threat is there, and it's picking up pretty rapidly, and it's something that, as a parent, the humans are having a hard time dealing with, especially the shot where the guy dies on the highway and like attacks the paramedic, and then the cops shoot the zombie. The zombie falls down, but then it gets right back up until a cop finally decides to shoot it in the head, which is the only way. That's the other zombie rule. Other than a walker is formed whenever someone dies, the other rule is that the only way to kill it is by destroying the brain, either by blunt force or a handgun of some sort. So basically, throughout the episode, the threat it builds very rapidly, and even by the end of the first episode, the two main characters are completely the husband and wife of this dysfunctional family are completely freaked out by this zombie threat. The fact that their son ran over that drug dealer guy who was killed like 3 times and he was still alive, like showing the resiliency of these walkers, the fact that they just will not die unless they're killed in the head. It's pretty freaky and pretty funny actually to see it as a Walking Dead fan, knowing these rules. Again, like I said, it's very interesting to see the show and say, they didn't know that, they didn't know that aspect. So I definitely like the dynamic. You've got the girl in the family who's got the boyfriend who just wants to leave the family. You've got Nick who's struggling with his drug problems, which is how he got into this whole freaking Walker scenario in the first place. I believe the husband and wife, they're both teachers. Seems like normal dynamics. You get a lot of normal real life dynamics through the real part of the show, and it's nice to see that. It's nice to see some normal, everyday life stuff going on. We only saw that in very brief parts. During The Walking Dead, there would be flashbacks, and especially Rick in his coma. There were only a few scenes where we got to see life operating normally. And so it's nice to see that in Fear the Walking Dead, and for the show to gradually go from normal to completely out of control. So, from the teasers of episode 2, it looks like shit's going to be hitting the fan very rapidly, with the army occupying neighborhoods, electricity going down. So it looks like things are going to start heating up. And I'm looking forward to reviewing it. Hopefully I can get my co-op partner in here with me to do it. So yeah, I hope you guys, take a look at the content. I would give this first episode a solid 9. I thought it was, an outstanding episode. The fear, the dread, the emotions, the plot progresses. I didn't feel like the plot was stagnant at all. Anything that was happening in this episode was kind of gripping, and it all had to do with the walkers in some way, and I didn't feel like I was getting gypped, or like, I never felt like there was boring exposition, like, this is just in there just to be filler content so we can, have a dynamic so we can get to the family. Like, I didn't feel that. Like, a lot of the plot of the first episode deals with discovering the Walker threat for the first time, which is bold for a pilot episode to do. But of course, as a pilot, you kind of have to establish what your series is and what you plan to do for the rest of it. So I guess it's not too much of a surprise. The pilot of Breaking Bad firmly established Walter White, turning into kind of a drug lord. Same with The Walking Dead. After that pilot, you got a pretty good freaking idea of what Rick Grimes was up against in the zombie apocalypse. So, pilots on AMC have proven themselves before, so I'm not surprised that Fear the Walking Dead hit off on a solid note. I think that was even true with Saul. Yeah, the first episode of Better Call Saul with the plot reveal at the end. So yeah, overall, 9 out of 10. Hopefully Jack will, my friend Jack, who does the reviews with me for The Walking Dead, he'll be able to return in the future. We'll see. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but it's a possibility. Sunday nights, possibly Mondays, I will be here to give you guys reviews of Fear the Walking Dead, and then in October, when Season 6 starts up, we will resume the normal schedule for that. So thank you guys for kind of listening to my thoughts on Episode 1 overall, and I will see you for a new video in the future. Thanks.